Pryde's Picks is spoiler heavy and full of crude language. I swear like a sailor, and Loki's no better. Consider yourself warned. Hey everyone, it's February 5th and I'm here with this week's Pryde's Picks. Thanks to Marvel Now and a butt ton of issue ones, we have a lot of Marvel, a couple of DC, and one book from Dynamite. So let's get started. First up is Ms. Marvel issue 1. Now this book introduces us to Kamala, and she will be our new Ms. Marvel. She is a Muslim American, she loves pop culture, and more than that, she loves superheroes. She writes fanfic in her bedroom and dreams about Captain America all day. She is the most likable character I've met in a long time. I'm really rooting for her, and she hasn't even barely begun to get her powers. This is an intro to the actual character, and she, towards the end of the issue, actually gets her Ms. Marvel powers, and I'm a little hazy on how, because I don't know what the hell's going on. But this book was a lot of fun. I'm not going to say it's a buy it now, but next issue is Metamorphosis, in which you're going to finally get to know what's going on with her and her superpowers. I'm going to say read it on the shelf, but if you're looking for a fresh new face in Marvel Comics, she's super adorable. Totes adorbs. Next up is Loki. Trust me, number 1. Now here's my thing with Loki. Lately he's been looking a little effeminate, a little too pretty, and a little too young. And it turns out that Loki, evil Loki, the villain, died. And when evil Loki, the villain, died, he came back as young, less evil Loki. And in this issue, he is stabbing his brother in the chest with the sword he got in the Marvel preview. And you're like, what the fuck? All is revealed, and it turns out that maybe what's going on with Thor isn't exactly what it seems. And Loki might actually be a good guy this time. Stay tuned and find out. If you're a huge Loki fan, it is a buy it now. If not, you can definitely wait for the trade, but I'd say at least glimpse through it on the shelf because the art's not bad. Next up is XMen Ghosts, number 1. Now this is the X-Men. This is the all-women cast of X-ladies fighting everything. And I don't know why they thought it'd be a good idea to pair up a butt ton of vaginas against a butt ton of vaginas, but they're basically fighting this nemesis, and it is a group called the Sisterhood of Evil. You've got Typhoid Mary back, you've got all these other characters banding together. They're going after a fourth, and it is a familiar name and face, Madeline Pryor, but honestly, Marvel, I don't know who thought this was so smart. You've just got, I'm telling you, let them sync their cycles, and this is going to turn into a bloodbath. I'm sorry for the pun, but it's just shit. This book is awful. I feel like everybody's just shark weeking against each other. I wanted to like it so much, but it turns out too much vagina really will spoil the pot. So I'm going to say piss on it. Sorry, Marvel. Next up is Wolverine number 1. This book has an emo, I've lost my powers Wolverine. And he decides to team up with this gentleman called The Offer and his group of second-rate villains that he kind of hires out for different tasks. And the thing with The Offer is he doesn't persuade you per se with any sort of superpower to get you to do what he wants, but he offers you stuff that you just can't say no to. So I'm assuming maybe he's offered Wolverine some sort of opportunity where in the end he will get his healing factor back, because he's being a little bitch without it. He's whining to Aurora about how, like, his, Wolverine is dead. And she's like, what did that mean? And he's like, oh, I woke up and I feel better. It's got him teamed up with these kids, and he's basically a mutant for hire at the moment, and he's making out with one of the girls, and I don't know. The idea that Wolverine's picking up guns and using them because he has no mutant healing factor doesn't really make sense to me, but somehow he's still using his claws. Meanwhile, in other X books, even though he has defected from the Jean Grey school completely while he's running around town with these folks, it's not reflecting in any other X books, so I'm going to have to say piss on it. Let's jump out of Marvel into DC with Batman Detective Comics, issue 28, Gothtopia. Gothtopia started a little while back, and it dragged on into Catwoman, and it has now dragged on to this book, and I have to say, it has to be one of the dumbest arcs I have ever seen. Okay, Gothtopia in a nutshell is like this awesome world where there are basically no villains. The only thing that's wrong in the world is the suicide rate's going up, and that is because some people are figuring out that shit has been changed, and they're losing their minds, and instead of accepting the reality that it might just all be a facade, they just kill themselves because it's easier than dealing with trying to figure out what's going on in their heads. Batman ends up in an insane asylum. Cut to the Buffy episode where everyone thinks she's going crazy and all of the characters are kind of like working in the asylum. This is that bullshit. Except anybody that could say anything about this book to try to tell me that it isn't a giant pile of poop has to take into account the fact that despite him being locked in the asylum, Batman is in full Batman uniform the entire time. He's got like a little straitjacket on over his Batman uniform. Nobody takes his cowl off. They're all like, oh, he doesn't need to be seen. No, bullshit. The only time that ever held true was when the Joker didn't want to take his cowl off because the Joker didn't want to know who he was. It makes sense because the Joker's psychotic and his like mindset is based on the fact that he doesn't want to know anything about Bruce Wayne. He wants to know Batman. He doesn't want to know who's behind the mask. He doesn't give a shit. I get that. The other characters in this book, all the other villains, bogus that they don't want to know who's behind the mask. That's bullshit. And for that, I'm going to say, piss on it, burn it, piss on it again, and mail those tiny bits to DC Comics because that's fucked up. Next up is Forever Evil, issue 5 of DC Comics. Now, after reading that last pile of poop, I had a little bit of a hard time opening this book because I was just still enraged. And then I got Forever Evil. And basically the Justice League is gone. They are out of commission, and the Syndicate thinks that they have this city on lock. And then Batman shows up. And him and Lex Luthor start fighting the Syndicate. You got Sinestro chasing down the Power Ring guy and like taking him out. And then cuts back to them all teaming up together. Deathstroke comes in and he's like, oh, this might be bad for business. They all decide they're going to team up and fight the crime syndicate. You got Catwoman, Deathstroke, Lex, you got fucking Sinestro, and Batman. And so Batman's like, fine, we'll play together nicely, but y'all are listening to me. And then they're all like, He's like, and I'm going to say no killing. And then Sinestro's like, ooh, might be a little late on that. I just kind of killed that Power Ring guy. So, and then Batman's like, what? But guys, I told you, no hurting anybody. Basically, Catwoman says, this is obviously their show, not ours, and we're just along for the ride, and Batman's going to have to listen to it. I'm excited to see him play second fiddle and actually have to take orders from a bunch of villains in order to achieve their goal. Forever Evil has been a surprisingly entertaining arc, and I can't wait for the next issue. Buy it now. We are going to wrap up this week with The Twilight Zone issue 2 from Dynamite Comics. Now, this book had this gentleman named Trevor, and Trevor Richmond was a bit of a dick. He worked for this company, he was siphoning funds. He's just about to get caught. This gentleman named Mr. Wild comes in, and he's like, I can help you with your problem. I'll change your appearance with this magical pill, and you'll suddenly be free. He's like, you can have some money, you can live a free life, you just can never come back to this life. And the guy's like, this sounds awesome. Right as that happens, everything comes down on his Trevor Richmond lifestyle. And they can't find him. So they go for the boss, the head of his company, and think that he's in on the whole deal too. Money's been swindled, just stuff's going wrong. And then Trevor wakes up in his new body, and he's like, what the hell? Like, life's awesome. He sees, like, his ex-girlfriend. That was his girlfriend. He's like, heh, I don't have to date you anymore. He's living the dream. Then he sees his face on TV, and that's how the last issue ends. Well, the guy taking over his new old body is coming to terms with everything that Trevor did, and he's apologizing and saying, I was a horrible person, I want to make amends, I want to be a better person, I live for my girlfriend, I live for this, and basically does the opposite of everything that guy would have done. And for some reason, the tides turn, and people start to feel sorry for him. He kind of becomes a bit of a fan favorite online and in the world, and then the original Trevor's like, wait, I want my life back. This is bullshit. You didn't tell me that you were going to do this and I had this option. And the guy's like, no backsies, dude. Unless the guy in your body wants out, I can't talk to you. So now he's trying to find the guy that's in his body. Meanwhile, he's taking illegal ways of getting there, and the cops come after him, and now, in his new body, he's also a wanted man. Now, the book twist was entertaining. I like the fact that I thought they were just going to take over his body and do more, like, menacing things with his original form, but instead they're kind of taking it and turning it into a good way. I'm sure there's something sinister going on in the background, because there always is in the Twilight Zone. But I am once again looking forward to the next issue. I am going to say, if you are a fan of the Twilight Zone, you need to be reading this book. If you just want some suspense with a little twist and something fun, buy it now. If the Twilight Zone isn't your thing, you can definitely skip it and read Forever Evil. As always, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., I am playing games online, and you should join me on twitchtv.com/notifingcute. This week I played Blood of the Werewolf, and actually some of the developers of the game joined in, chatted in the chat. I gave away game codes, and I still have one left. So, you in the chat, you down there below in the comments, go like Blood of the Werewolf's Facebook page. I'll put the link right below, and leave a cute little note about how much Pryde rules and how excited you are for their game, and one of you will get my last free code. And good night, everybody. Mwah.